And we go now to Salt Lake City, where former Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney is standing by. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. This is the third American now that we've seen executed. You said recently about the president's foreign policy, I'm going to quote here, "It's tempting to think he is just inept." What should we be doing differently now in this war against ISIS, and are we doing enough?
Well, first of all, what we should have done by now is have American troops staying by in Iraq. That was something that we argued for years ago. The president didn't do it. Likewise, we should have armed the moderates in Syria a long time ago so that they'd be able to keep something like ISIS from being formed. And as a result of the mistakes that have been made in the past on the president's part, we now have terrible visions being shown on TV and of course a threat to ourselves here in the homeland. And the right course for this nation is to do whatever it takes to destroy and defeat ISIS. And of course, it's appropriate for us to provide support to the Iraqi military and intelligence. That we should have been doing a long time ago. And I think the president's wrong in saying that under no circumstances will he consider ground troops. No one wants to put our own ground troops there. But if you're going to defeat something, you don't tell the enemy exactly what you plan on doing or what you won't do. You say, we're going to defeat you regardless of the consequence.
So what you're saying, Governor, is that if it comes to it, that we may have to send American fighting forces, not just advisors, but American fighting forces on the ground back into Iraq and perhaps even into Syria?
Well, no one wants that. But when the president says we're going to destroy ISIS, then you have to recognize that that is a statement which means something. And it doesn't mean something if you say, well, we'll destroy it unless or only in the following ways. You say instead we're going to do whatever it takes to destroy ISIS, and that's something the president is ultimately going to have to make a decision on. I hope that we're able to see ISIS destroyed with troops from Iraq and with troops from other neighboring nations. But if that does not work, I certainly hope it does work, but if it doesn't work, we have to be open to whatever it takes to destroy ISIS. It is not acceptable for ISIS to represent the kind of threat it does to the peace of the world and to our interests as Americans.
So sending American ground troops back into Iraq is still on the table.
Well, no one wants to call it on the table, I don't think. I just don't think you take things off the table. I don't think you say that we're going to destroy ISIS. When the president says, for instance, that ISIS is a cancer and it must be eliminated, he's right. But you don't say, well, we're only going to use the following tools in doing so. You say we're going to do whatever it takes. And hopefully we'll be able to do that with other people's troops. But if it takes our own troops, you don't take that as a source of our strength from the battlefield.